The heat is on, and it's only going to get worse. Over the next few days, temperatures in Arizona could reach a scorching 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, imagine surviving an Arizona summer without air conditioning. It sounds almost impossible, like trying to wear a wool sweater in a sauna. But here's the catch. The Amish, an almost notoriously anti-modern culture, have decided to put down their roots in one of America's hottest places without one air-conditioned unit to be found. Before you start sweating at just the thought, let's pause and ask the real question. How do they do it? You might think it's all about sheer willpower, and to some extent, you'd be right. But there's a whole lot more to it than that. The Amish don't just suffer through the heat. They found a way to live with it, even thrive. It's all a mix of old-school methods, cultural mindset, and practical design, about as different from our own lifestyles as you can get. And let's be honest, they've been around a lot longer than we have, and their ways have stood the test of time. So maybe there's something to it. Let's dig deeper into how the Amish survive the intense Arizona heat. Arizona's summer temperatures can hit a sweltering 120 degrees Fahrenheit, so hot that you could fry an egg on the sidewalk. Most of us can't imagine life without an air conditioner when the temperature climbs into the triple digits. But here's something that might surprise you. For most of human history, air conditioning didn't even exist. It only became widely available in the mid-20th century. Before that, people had to rely on other methods to stay cool. And that's exactly what the Amish continue to do, using natural, age-old techniques that most of us have forgotten. Ever walked into an old stone building on a hot day and noticed how cool it feels inside? That's the kind of natural cooling the Amish rely on. But let's go deeper. The tricks they use go far beyond thick walls and natural materials. Here's a fun fact. The Amish way of life may differ depending on where they live, but their core philosophy is the same. In Arizona, they've had to adapt their methods even more creatively. After all, this isn't Pennsylvania with its rolling green hills and cool summer nights. This is dry, unrelenting desert heat. So, how do they manage? First of all, they don't require electricity to keep cool. Believe it or not, the Amish have mastered the art of living comfortably without air conditioning. And in so doing, they've stumbled upon some solutions that might not seem so crazy after all. Let's start with their homes. One of the Amish's key tricks for surviving the intense Arizona heat is their thick walls. Imagine walking into a cool cave in the desert. Outside, it's scorching hot, but inside, it's like another world altogether. Cool, calm, and bearable. That's exactly what walking into an Amish house in Arizona feels like. The thick walls, made from natural materials like clay, adobe, and wood, do a fantastic job of keeping the heat out and the cool in. Here's the science behind it. Thicker walls absorb the sun's heat slowly, and by the time that heat finally makes it inside, the sun is set and the cooler desert air has taken over. It's like living inside a giant thermos. This method works like a charm in a place like Arizona, where the sun feels like it's melting everything in its path. But it doesn't stop there. The materials the Amish use, such as clay and adobe, are not just random choices. These materials soak up the heat during the day and then release it at night when the temperature drops. So while the rest of us are fighting high energy bills trying to keep our homes cool, the Amish are sitting comfortably, letting nature do the work for them. The wood used by the Amish also serves as an excellent insulator. Used with clay or adobe, it maintains temperatures without allowing heat to surge inward too quickly. It is kind of like dressing warmly when going out into cold weather. Layering clothing keeps you from getting too warm. Well, the opposite is used to keep a home cool during warm weather. Now you could probably wonder, wouldn't it just be easier just to switch on the AC? Of course, but air conditioning uses a ton of energy, and that comes dear. In fact, throughout much of an Arizona summer month, residents spend upwards of $400 each to keep their homes at a cool temperature. where those pesky Amish are literally paying zero for their air conditioning method. Until you count the cost for said wood and clay, naturally, which is far dearer to buy electricity would run them. Their houses, after all, naturally remain cool for most of the hottest summer months, and they're not dependent on machines to stay that way during the summer. It's a big win in a place where AC units can't even keep up sometimes. But it doesn't end with walls. The Amish make good use of high ceilings as well. And no, it's not to give their homes a grand cathedral-like feel. The real reason behind high ceilings is much more practical. Hot air rises a simple law of physics. When the sun's been blazing all day, the air inside the house warms up, but instead of letting that heat settle where people live, the high ceilings allow it to rise and stay out of the way. The science is pretty simple, but very effective. Because the day heats up outside, the inside of the house warms up too. But since the ceilings are high, this hot air has no other choice but to rise over where people sit or work. The cool air remains below, keeping the living area comfortable. Let's face it, most modern homes have lower ceilings, so when it does get hot air, there is no other choice for it to go but down. That is why we turn on the AC all summer long. However, the Amish don't only rely on smart architecture to cool them. They also depend on nature. They strategically plant trees around their homes for shade and reducing cooling costs. A well-positioned tree can reduce cooling costs by as much as 25%, and the Amish have been doing that for ages, before even a single person cared about an air conditioning bill. The trees provide shade, block the sun's rays from hitting the walls, windows, and roof, and keep the inside of the house cooler. And it's not just about shade. Trees cool the air through a process called evapotranspiration, where they release moisture into the air, helping to lower the temperature around them. This natural cooling effect can make the area under a tree up to 10 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the air in full sun. In Arizona, where every degree counts, that's a huge difference. But that's not all the Amish do. In the hot months, they cook outside in a summer kitchen. Cooking inside could increase the temperature in the house by as much as 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so they figured cooking outside would be a good idea. These summer kitchens are outside the main dwelling, keeping the heat from coming into the living area, and they stay cool while cooking even over a whole meal. And when it comes to storing food, the Amish have a clever solution to keep things cool without a refrigerator. They use deep insulated ice houses. These pits dug into the ground are perfect for storing ice harvested in the winter and keeping food cool throughout the summer. All these techniques are so simple, effective, and require no electricity. Only a perceptive understanding of nature and wise ancestral knowledge. The Amish know how to live with nature without spoiling the environment through using what nature provides in order to stay cool, to save money, and live sustainably. So, the next time you're struggling to keep your house cool in the summer heat, remember the Amish and their clever, time-tested solutions that they're proof that sometimes the best way to beat the heat is to work with nature, not against it.